Dunbar was born in Dayton, Ohio on June 27, 1872 to Joshua Dunbar and Matilda Murphy Dunbar. His parents had escaped from slavery in Kentucky. His father was a veteran of the American Civil War, having served in the 55th Massachusetts Infantry Regiment and the 5th Massachusetts Colored Cavalry Regiment. Dunbar's father died in 1884 when he was just 12 years old. Dunbar attended Central High School. At Central, he was the only African American in his class. During high school, Dunbar wrote and published poems in a school newspaper, and he eventually served as the editor. His poetry was also published in the local Dayton Herald, and Dunbar edited a new but short-lived African American paper entitled The Tattler, which was printed by his classmate, Orville Wright. After graduating from high school in 1891, because of racial discrimination, Dunbar was forced to accept a job as an elevator operator in a Dayton Callahan building. He often wrote on the job during slack hours. His first public reading was on his birthday in 1892. A former teacher arranged for him to give the welcoming address to the Western Association of Writers when the organization met in Dayton, Ohio. Soon after, James Newton Matthews became a friend of Dunbar's and wrote to an Illinois paper praising Dunbar's work. The letter was reprinted in several papers across the country, and the honor drew regional attention to Dunbar, and James Whitcomb Riley, a poet, read Matthews' letter and acquainted himself with Dunbar's work. Dunbar decided to publish a book of poems called Oak and Ivy, which was published in 1892. Although his book was established well locally, Dunbar still had to work as an elevator operator to help pay off his debt to his publisher. He sold his book for $1 to people who rode the elevator, and the more people that came in contact with his work, the quicker his reputation spread. In 1893, he was invited to perform at the World's Fair, where he met Frederick Douglass, the prominent abolitionist. Douglass called Dunbar the most promising young colored man in America, and also provided.
Dunbar moved to Toledo, Ohio in 1895 with help from attorney Charles A. Thatcher and psychiatrist Henry A. Tobey, who were both fans of Dunbar's work. They arranged for him to recite his poems at local libraries and literary gatherings. Tobey and Thatcher also funded the publication of Dunbar's second book, Majors and Minors.
Dunbar's second book propelled him to national fame. William Dean Howells, a novelist and widely respected literary critic who edited Harper's Weekly, praised Dunbar's book in one of his weekly columns and launched Dunbar's name into the most respected literary circles across the country. A New York publishing firm, Dodd Mead & Company, combined Dunbar's first two books and published them as Lyrics of a Lowly Life. In 1897, Dunbar traveled to England to recite his works on the London literary circuit. His national fame has spilled across the Atlantic.
After returning from England, the same year Dunbar married Alice Ruth Moore. She was a fair-skinned black Creole teacher and writer originally from New Orleans, who had a master's degree from Cornell University. Dunbar took a job at the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. He found the work tiresome. In 1902, Dunbar and his wife separated, and Dunbar began to suffer from tuberculosis. Depression stemming from the end of his marriage and declining health drove him to a dependence on alcohol, which further damaged his health. He continued to write, however, and created 12 books of poetry, 4 books of short stories, a play, and 5 novels. His work appeared in Harper's Weekly, the Sunday Evening Post, the Denver Post, Current Literature, and a number of other magazines and journals. He traveled to Colorado and even to Chicago to visit his half-brother. He moved back to Dayton to be with his mother in 1904. Dunbar died from tuberculosis on February 9, 1906, at age 33.